I'm not an engineer. I didn't engineer these lures, but I know when I look at this range of Zack Attack trolling lures, and some of them have these really awesome names, like I said, Thunderstruck and Fatso and the Midge and all kinds of cool stuff. But when I look at them all, the different designs, there's some different factors, but there's one universal factor that I see, and that each of them has a cupped face. Every one of these designs has a cupped face. I could see that right there very clearly, very prominently. And what does that cupped face do? Well, it catches obviously air as the lure comes up and breathes. It catches a pocket of air right in there. And as that air dissipates, as that lure is tracking through the water, it leaves behind an enticing trail, smoke as we call it, that trail of bubbles. And it really just makes that bait a much easier target for a game fish to see, to hone in on, and to really zero in on as it's tracking through the water. Once all that air dissipates, that lure will break the surface and it will breathe again, and then it'll submerge, and once again all of that air will dissipate, creating that trail. And obviously with different shapes, for example, you can see that's narrow, but then comes down, okay, to a bulbous type of design. Okay, and interestingly, you would think that that design, that lure, would be all over the place in the water, but on the contrary, that's one of the most straight tracking baits that there is, even with that bulbous design right there. Here's a similar lure that the top portion is the same, right? Look at that right there. That they're almost identical as far as shape is concerned, but from that point down, it's a completely different bait. It's a completely different shape and a completely different bait. It'll track differently, and it may be better suited in a different position in your trolling spread. The head designs allow that lure to track in a different way, but they're also looking at the overall picture, realizing anglers are rarely pulling just one of these, but rather a full spread, sometimes 6, 8, maybe even 10 or 12 lines, depending on the operation and depending on the boat, etc. So a lot of variables there. But it's also important as to how the lures perform independently, but also with their additional counterparts, how that overall spread, what sort of appeal that has. It's a science, it really is. And some guys take it to the absolute extreme, making sure that only very particular head designs are in very particular positions, on the face of the third wake or on the back of the seventh wake or whatever it may be, and the shotgun, off the flat lines. Everybody has their own gig. That's what makes fishing fishing. And that's what makes high stakes tuna and billfish sport fishing so exciting, because it's all about decision making, on the choice of the lures, the head designs, and how they swim. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that one is better than the other. No, I'm going to tell you that they all have particular characteristics and they all have been designed for very particular purposes. But at the end of the day, I don't think you can go wrong with swapping them. And if you're not sure where to put a particular trolling lure in the spread, putting it a little bit further, a little bit longer on the, one wake too far, it's all okay. It's okay. Okay. Get out there, put them behind the boat, trial and error, learn, fish. You're going to catch fish. That's the bottom line. So again, I'm not here to tell you which is the, look at this one. Same big cupped face design right there. Again, they look almost identical, but there it is. It changes right there. That's elongated right there, a little bit longer of a harder head, a harder body. So that bait, even though they look very similar, almost identical, look at that. And even the skirts, I mean, that's an almost identical pattern right there. They are going to swim just a little bit differently. But certainly I would fish both of those in any trolling spread, because just to the naked eye, if you ask me what these look like, that's a bonita or blackfin tuna. I mean, clearly, racing through the water right there, and there's a smoke trail dissipating off the back of it, and gosh, the big, blue marlin and things like that, they just can't ignore it, and they absolutely demolish it. Wahoo too, of course, wahoo, big dolphin. They all eat the trolling lures. Wahoo, big dolphin. They all eat the trolling lures.